Shalom, shalom, Israel, shalom. It's your brother Joshua back with another quick coffee break and a quick exhortation for the brothers and sisters in this truth, man. Right? And I want to come to brothers, especially those that are head of congregations, the head of the church, and out here teaching, right? And a head over many, right? Or just being a righteous counselor or such sort, right? And has brothers underneath them, right? And I want to come to righteously rebuke brothers and warn brothers that it's time to get rid of all the leaven, especially the time that we're coming in, which is the Passover. We have to be focusing on partaking of the Lord's body worthily in these last days, man, right? Because we don't want to be those that are cast into darkness, right, or destroyed and sent back into the world, right, or be blamed for Yahweh's death, right? So it's time to righteously come and rebuke brothers and speak about getting rid of that wickedness and that secret sin and the things that easily beset you, right? And it's trying to take you out of this thing. We all know that it's sifting season and Satan is on the earth, him and his minions, very heavily, and it's troubling brothers in these last times. And we need help from one another. We need help from Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right, to achieve these tasks, right? But it's within us. We understand that the kingdom is within us. And we are those that have to be the soldiers on the battlefield and fight this battle, right? We can't give up on the things that we have accomplished and that we've set our heart and our minds to do. We put our hands to the plow. We can't give up and go back and make the same mistakes over and over and continue to build leaven within ourselves. And it be a danger to those that are around us, man, right? So let me kick off this real quick with the book of Proverbs, chapter 8 and verse number 12, and it reads, I, wisdom, will dwell with prudence and find out knowledge of witty inventions. The fear of the Lord is to hate evil, pride and arrogancy, and the evil way and the forward mouth do I hate. Right? We're striving every day to be like Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man. And the Lord said, the fear of the Lord is to hate evil. We have to hate our abominations vehemently, man. And it's true. We have to literally hate the ways of this world and the sins that we partake in this life, right? We have to sit back and ask ourselves, do we really hate the things that are holding us back from the Lord, that is separating ourselves from the Most High, man? Do we really hate those things? Or are we playing ourselves and have one foot in and one foot out, and we playing tic-tac-toe with sin and then trying to serve Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man? Right? We really have to sit back and ask ourselves and think about it, man. When you commit these things in the dark, and when you sit back and you dwell on evil things, do you actually try to kick that thought out your head? Or do you actually try to fight that sin? Or do you just allow it to just overwhelm you like a crashing wave just blows over you and just consumes you to the ocean? Now you're deep and now you're lost, right? Do you really think that way? Or do you just say, hey, man, it is what it is. I made a mistake, then boom, I'm just going to deal with it and that's it? No. We have to really think about these things. Do we really hate the things that we're doing, man? Behind closed doors or even out in the open? Or are we truly even fighting? Or are we a hypocrite in this thing? Or are we truly fighting as the soldier of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man? All right? I'm letting that noise pass real quick, right? So we really got to ask ourselves that, are we been a hypocrite in the sight of the Lord? Or are we truly fighting, right, to get the kingdom, man, to purge out the wickedness that is upon us, man? Right, let me get another precept. Right, that's the book of Job, right? It's the book of Job, chapter 13 and verse number 16, and it reads, as also shall my salvation right? Salaki, it says, he also shall be my salvation, for an hypocrite shall not come before him, man. Right? The Lord said a hypocrite cannot come before him, man. And we all know what a hypocrite is. And the Lord's not dealing with that. He's not dealing with a lukewarm, backbiting, pride-having, arrogant hypocrite, man. That only has the eyes of men, right? And does not understand that the Lord's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, and beholding every way of men, right? You cannot be that man that only fears the sight of men, or being fearful of getting cast down before men. You should fear the one that can kill the soul and the body in hell, man. Hey, man, and can really cast you down before your enemies, man, and make you a laughing stock, man. Right? So you asking yourself, man, look, am I being a hypocrite in the sight of men and in the sight of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua? Right? You have to really see if you hate those things that you're doing in the dark, right? And understand, if you are tasked with the job of teaching others, right, you're held to a greater standard, to a higher standard, man. You are going to receive the greater condemnation, right? You keep going back and dibbling into wickedness, and then you jumping back out, and then you going right back in and you jumping back out, man. That's being hypocrite, man. That's hypocrisy. Right? Let's get another precept real quick on that, man. Let's go to the book of Romans real quick. Right? I hope y'all can hear me. It's a lot of noise out here, but Lord willing, brothers and sisters can hear. Right? Let's go to the book of Romans chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse number 21, and it reads, "Thou therefore which teacheth others, teachest not thyself? Thou that preachest a man should not steal, dost thou steal? Thou that sayest a man should not commit adultery, doest thou commit adultery? Thou that abhorrest idols, doest thou commit sacrilege?" Right? Paul is asking the question, man, if you're teaching others not to do certain things, are you doing these things in the dark? Right? Are you telling people, hey, man, you can't be smoking that weed, man. You're destroying your body. Right? 1 Corinthians 3:16, man. Get that, brother. And then next thing you know, you leave camp. You go home and you light up a blunt, man. Are you that hypocrite? You have to ask yourself these things, man. Are you doing these things in the dark, man? Are you teaching others and then you're standing in the sight of the Lord, amen, and doing the same thing? That's hypocrisy, man. And the Lord said there's a lot of people that struggle with these things out here, man. There are those that struggle with these situations, man, and they're very wise men and they're teaching others around, but yet they are very unprofitable to themselves, man, in every way. Right? They have the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding of the scriptures, but yet they cannot control their own selves. Right? Let's get another precept real quick. And this is one of the scariest precepts, right, in the scriptures to me, man. Because I've never wanted to be this person in my life. Right? This is very vexing and keeps me on my toes, right? So this is the book of Sirach, chapter 37 and verse 19, and it reads, "There is one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable unto himself." Right? So there's one that is wise and is teaches many, man, and is go out and rebuking and casting down strongholds, man, and turning people back to the Lord, but yet cannot hold himself, right, in the right standings, in the right sense, in the standards that he teaches others to do so, man, making himself a hypocrite. Right? He's laying heavy yokes on people. He's speaking to do certain things righteous in the eyes of the Lord, but yet he cannot hold himself accountable or keep his own body in subjection. Right? And that's a fearful thing, man, in the eyes of the Lord, that, look, you can be a wise man, but at the same time, you cannot hold yourself, right, accountable for the things that you do. That is the scariest thing, man. right, to me, right, to do all these things, and they hear those words that depart from me, you that break God's laws. Like, because one day I can see the Lord and say, hey, didn't I cast out many devils in your name? Didn't I do many wonderful works? And then he say, depart from me, you that break God's laws, for I never knew you. Man, that's the fearful thing, man. I don't ever want to hear that. And I would hope that brothers and sisters would not want to hear that as well, man. Right? Especially you brothers that's over the congregations. Right? Let's get another precept real quick, man. Right? Check this out. Let's go to 1 Corinthians. Right? This is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 9, and verse 24, and it reads, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. Right? So run that ye may obtain. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Right? So you have to be temperate in all things, man. You have to be able to bring your body in subjection and withhold, right, these sins back. You have to be able to fight as a good soldier of the Lord. Be temperate in all things. If you have anger issues, man, you should be able to suppress these things by fasting, praying, right? Getting righteous counsel, right? If you're dealing with lust or whatever it may be, right? You have to reach out and be able to be strengthened by the Spirit and by your brothers that are around you, man. And things of that nature, to be temperate in all these things, man, striving for the mastery. And it reads, now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. Because there are some that just want to be in the sight of men and obtain a prize of this world, right? A trophy or a ribbon of things of that nature, right? But we as men of the Lord are supposed to want to obtain the incorruptible crown, which is the crown and the white stone that we receive in the end when we enter into that bond of the covenant, man, right? And enter into the kingdom. That's what we're looking for. It's to be in the kingdom of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, right? That incorruptible crown that no man can take from you. And it reads, if therefore so run, so like it says, I therefore so run not as uncertainly, so fight I not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. Right? So that's what you don't want to be. You don't want to be a castaway. When you've put in your time studying, praying, fasting, man, reading, exhorting, right? Counseling others, right? And you cannot keep your body in subjection, man. You cannot keep your own spirit in subjection, right? And you to preach to many and many and many, and now you become the castaway, man. Right? That's not what we're looking for. And you have to ask yourself, man, is this you? Because you are held with a greater standard of holding the words of the Lord dear, man. He chose you to handle his precious word, his wisdom, his knowledge, man, and to wake up others, man. Right? So we got to think upon these things, right? Let's go to the classic. Let's get Luke real quick. Luke 12. Right, let's get Luke 12 real quick. Right, just the book of Luke. Right. Right, just the book of Luke, chapter 12, and verse 47. And it reads, and the servant which knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes, man. So you know the Lord's will. What's the Lord's will? To keep his commandments. You know it, man. You were set charge over a congregation or a church and to teach many. You knew the Lord's will, but you didn't prepare yourself, man. Right? Neither did you do his will. You are going to be beaten with many stripes, man. Right? You're going to receive the greater condemnation, right? For being a teacher, man. Right? Dealing with the Lord's words, and you're supposed to be dealing them righteously to your brothers and your sisters, man. Being that beacon of light and trusted with the secrets of the Lord, and you abuse them. You're going to be held with that greater condemnation. You're the one that's going to be get the worst in the latter end, right? And the Lord, that's a fearful thing, man. To be destroyed before the Lord, man, and do all this work and put forth all this effort, man, and therefore, you be destroyed at the end, right? And another thing is by you committing these secret sins and holding on to these sins and doing the same things over and over, you make it to where you're going to cause others to fall. For one, you've been on a higher standard. You've been one that's looked at as, someone that they can come to for advice, or somebody that looks up to you as you've been strong, you've been a leader, you've been out front, right? They look for you for that advice and say that, hey, man, I admire this brother or this sister, and they continue to see you fall and fall. That can put a spirit on the people that's around you, right? You can cause your neighbor to fall for the things that you're doing, right? That's why the Lord said this. Let's go back to the classic, right? Let's go back to the classic, right? This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 6. It says, your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump, man? All it takes is just a little bit of leaven, man, that little bit of sin, and it can leaven the whole thing. Just like you making bread, man, or anything at home that deals with leaven, all you need is just that little bit. And you see that bread rise. That's the same thing with sin. All you need is just a touch of sin. And you can destroy the whole congregation. Them spirits get to hopping off of you and hopping onto your brother, and then your next brother, and then your next brother. And now that plague is in the whole church. And now everybody is being wicked and going off, right? I can't think of the precept off the top of my head right now, paraphrasing, but it says, Slakia, a leader of a city, the people of the city are like the leader, paraphrasing greatly, right? The ruler of a city, his people are like him, paraphrasing, right? Can't think about where that's at, but, you are held to a higher standard as a leader or a teacher in the church, and people look up to you, and you have to hold your body and your spirit under subjection and not be a hypocrite and speak certain words, but yet you're doing the same thing, right? And it says, verse 7, purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us. Now Christ is our Passover. Christ was sent to be a perfect example that how we should be, right? Christ was sent and made of a man just like we were, and perfect in the sight of the Lord in every way, so he can be that example for us to follow after, right? And that's what we should be doing. And Christ was that perfect sacrifice for us, that we can put away those sins. We have grace to get those sins out of our system and be a new creature. We say we follow Christ. We say we love Christ. We say we model ourselves after Christ's life. Then why are we doing the same things? Right? We're supposed to be a new lump, a new creature. Right? Let's get that real quick. It's 2 Corinthians. Right? This 2 Corinthians 5 and verse 17, and it reads, therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Right? Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. Right? So that's what we have to, if we really believe that, then we're supposed to be a new creature in the eyes of the Lord, man. Right? Everything that we do is supposed to be brand new. We're not supposed to be dealing with that old man. That's supposed to be buried. That old man is supposed to be dead, man. But a lot of times we allow that old man to keep coming back and keep coming up and keep coming up. We got to kill that old man and get rid of him. Yeah, of course we make mistakes. Of course things are going to happen. But that's what it should be, is a mistake, not the things that we just keep falling on purpose. Right? So let's get another precept real quick. I want to get this in Numbers. Right? Check this out. It's the book of Numbers, chapter 16, Right, this is Moses dealing with Aaron. Right, it's the book of Numbers chapter 16, and start at verse 44, and it says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Get you up from among this congregation, that I may consume them as in a moment." Right, so the Lord was angry at the congregation, man. He was ready to destroy everybody because there was so much sin going on, man. So he said, look, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Get you up from among this congregation, that I may consume them as in a moment. And they fell upon their faces. And Moses said unto Aaron, Take a censer and put fire therein from off the altar, and put on in this incense, and go quickly unto the congregation, and make an atonement for them. For there is wrath gone out from the Lord. The plague is begun. Right? And Aaron took as Moses commanded, and ran into the midst of the congregation. Behold, the plague was begun among them. Right? So the plague began to spread among the people. All that sin, all that wickedness, all that foolishness, man, that's what happens now. Right? One spirit can come into the congregation. A brother can be dealing with that and constantly dealing with that, and he's quiet. He's not dealing with it. Hey, man, he's not telling brothers to pray for him or anything. Or even if he is, he keeps going back and touching that same thing over and over and over again. And the thing starts to grow. That leaven begins to rise in the camp. Now that plague is beginning to spread from one brother to another brother, to another brother, to another brother. Right? The plague begins to grow. Right? So he said that. I'm going to go back to the top of 47. It says, And Aaron took as Moses commanded, and ran into the midst of the congregation. And behold, the plague was begun among the people. And he put on incense, and made an atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed. Right? So Moses went and stood between the plague, man. Right? So, hey, he can cut that thing off. He can rebuke that thing. Right? And get it out of the congregation. And that's what brothers got to do. Is, hey, we got to stand between that plague, man. We got to stand up for one another. We got to righteously rebuke one another. We got to rebuke ourselves and get that plague off of us. Get that wickedness off of us, man. Purge that thing out, that it won't spread to others. Right? We have to, hey, be our brother's keeper. Right? Just put it out there. We literally have to be our brother's keeper. We are put over flocks to present them as chaste virgins before the Most High, man. Right? Let me get this real quick precept in the book of Acts, chapter 20, I believe. Chapter 20 and verse number, let's go to 28. And it reads, Acts 20 and 28, it says, Take heed therefore unto yourselves and to all the flock over that which the Holy Spirit have made you overseers, to feed the church of God, which he hath purchased with his own blood. So the Lord had made you an overseer of the church. So you're held with that, that blood on your hands. You're that shepherd that's supposed to guide the sheep, man, back into that trough, man, and keep them safe from the wolves. And present them as a chaste virgin before Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. Right? We have to do these things because, hey, man, it's the hardest thing you ever going to deal with in your life if you continue to deal with your sins, man, and you think that you're serving the Lord. You're being a hypocrite, man, in these last days. That's what you don't want to do, man. You don't want those people that are under you to pick up your habits. All right, let's get one more precept on that. All right, let's get one more precept on that. Let's get Galatians chapter 2. And I'm going to start at verse number 11. It says, But Peter was come to Antioch. I withstood him to the face, because he was to be blamed. For before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles. But when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision, right? So that's like us these days, man. Peter was dealing with the Gentiles, the circumcision and the uncircumcision, man. And then he tried to play like, hey, man, when he seen the brothers come around, he tried to jump up and act like, man, I ain't dealing with them. That's the same thing now. Brothers is dealing with sitting at the table with Satan, and then when they around brothers, they righteous. Right? They dirty on the inside, but when they come around brothers, now they righteous, man. You know? And of course, Peter wasn't being unrighteous. He was just dealing with them accordingly, but he tried to play like, look, man, hey, I ain't dealing with them. So he got rebuked righteously. You dealing with the Gentiles, but yet you trying to play like you ain't when you around us, man. Right? That's the same way brothers dabbling with sin, and then when they get around brothers, they feel like they righteous, trying to give advice and bringing them out mighty and doing all types of things, man. Brothers cannot be that hypocrite, man. Right? And then it says, and the other Jews dissembled likewise with him in so much that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation. Right? So the moral of that point is your behavior can rub off on somebody else, and you can carry them away into that same sin and allow them to be destroyed with that same spirit that you're dealing with if you don't correct that spirit within yourself. And that spirit hop on that other brother and he starts struggling with the same things you're dealing with, man. And then he is destroyed. And now that blood is on your hands because you allowed that thing to happen because you didn't nip it in the bud when you were supposed to. Right? So you got to get rid of that demon, man. You got to get rid of that secret sin that you're dealing with so you won't be a hypocrite, man. All right, let's get this precept real quick, man. Let's get this real quick. Let's get Sirach chapter, let's go to 12. The book of Sirach chapter 12 in verse 13, it says, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent? For any such is come nigh wild beast. So the Lord said, man, who's going to pity that charmer that's playing with that serpent, man? You ever seen those charmers on TV, man, when he playing the little flute and they got the King Cobra, he coming up and he's dancing to the music, you know? And every now and again, man, hey, that serpent, boom, he bite that charmer, man. Well, who gonna feel sorry for that guy? You playing with a deadly snake. You playing with a damn serpent, man. Right? You put yourself in that position to get bit and get destroyed. So the Lord said, who's going to pity that charmer that's bitten with the serpent? So who's going to pity with you when you keep dealing with that certain sin, man, and you get bit and the teeth is like a wild lion, man, and take you down and destroy you? Who's going to pity you? You keep wallowing in that same sin and you keep going back, and then, hey, man, you come and you atone for, you wash your hands, and then, hey, man, you right back in the mud playing and making mud pies. And then you go in the house and wash your hands again. And then you think you're clean. And then you go right back outside and jump in the mud again. That's hypocritical, man. It's madness. And the Lord is not dealing with that. Right? Let's get one more precept on that. Let's go to Sirach 34. And let's start at verse number 25. And it reads, he that washeth himself after the touching of a dead body, if he touch it again, what availeth his washing? So is it with a man that fasted for his sins, and goeth again and doeth the same? Who will hear his prayers? Or what doeth his humbling profit him, man? And that's playing upon tables, man. You know you're going to be unclean if you go and touch a dead body. So after you wash yourself, why go back and play with that same dead body again? Who's going to hear your prayers? The Lord already told you he hears not sinners. So when you continue to do these things over and over again, you make a habit. You start practicing that thing and it becomes a habit of, you know. And the Lord said he's not dealing with a hypocrite, man. You don't want to be deemed a hypocrite in the eyes of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Right? So we gotta put that old conversation off, man. Right? Let's get one more precept, man. Let's go to Ephesians real quick. the book of Ephesians chapter 4 at verse 22, and it reads, that ye put off concerning the former conversation the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, man. Right? And that ye put on the new man, which after the Most High is created in righteousness and true holiness, man. So this is what you have to do, is put off that old conversation and bury that old man, right? So you can be holy and blameless in the eyes of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man, in these last days, right? And confess your sins to your brothers that you can be healed in these last days, right? And get rid of that. But with that, hope it was edifying, and brothers really take heed to the warning, the righteous rebuke. We moving into the Passover. We living in the last days. It's up to us to get ourselves right through the power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. With that, giving our honor and glory to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Hope it was edifying. Shalom.